All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Let's go out and take a look at things here. We do have a signal on the board, and that is with Visa. I mentioned this morning that I suspected it could trigger today. And it is one that does have that fresh 3-7 crossover action on it today. Now, I've watched it continue to move up this afternoon, going, come on, stop, 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 stop. But, it really hasn't. It has been pretty strong here today. To go with an American Express breakout here, MasterCard has performed okay here today. Not as well as, as Visa, but they're not all that different here. But do have the fresh 3-7 crossover action, going on it, series of higher lows, here on Visa. It's been mired in this, a 3-month, 4-month, almost 5-month consolidation, right? This was one where for the May challenge, we traded it early. And this is one that really kind of helped the challenge out in a big way. We traded it again later as it was stuck in the consolidation. Took a small loss there on it, but it is through some of this consolidation and signaling here for us. So going to go and make the trade. Now looking at the options here, I looked at various options with this. In going out here to, something like December 13th, and doing something like the 180s, where, okay, the risk reward is, it's okay. It's okay. Nothing with the options is, terrible, but nothing's, fantastically priced, where you just look and go, oh, okay, this is really good pricing here for the option. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the 6th of December. It's 29 days instead of 30 days, but that 1 week, just a little bit better, a little bit better spread, more than anything here on it. And if we look at the, if we look at the delta on it, it is something where we can get a double with a, a decent move here, on the stock. So we have 3,200 in the trading account. So going to put about 40%, on that, which is 5 contracts here. Let's see if they'll give me 345. I doubt it. In fact, I'm not even going to fuss with it. I'm just going to put in 350 and go here. And looks like they filled me at 340. Well, 349 on 5 contracts. 349 on the 5 contracts here. So I'm just going to put in 350 for the alert. So bear with me for just a second. Make sure the alerts go out here. So ticker symbol Visa, price 350 here on 5 contracts. Okay, on 5 contracts here. And again, this is the 6th of December. 6th of December, 180 call strike. Okay. All right. So 5 at 350, 6th of December, 180 calls for a Visa. There we go. All right, so let's come in here to the trade data and let's fill that out. Let's fill it all out here. Entry date 11/7 p.m. Option price 350 here. 5 contracts. Stock entry price. Let's see here. We're looking at 180.33. 180. 33. Average true range here on Visa is 325. All right, 325. And that'll put our stock exit level at 177.08, and our profit level at 186.83. Now, 186.83 will be pushing it back up into its highs, and so that's what we'll be looking for there with the move. And then current stock price, which I guess it's not current. You already know that. 15-minute delay. Our auto exit date here. Bear with me. Let me grab those. All right, we're looking at the what? The 12th, 11:12, and then the 15th, right? So 11:12 p.m. and then 11:15 p.m. There for the auto exit dates, and the trade price here 350. So cash in, that puts about 1700 here into it, a little bit more than 40% there on that, but does leave us plenty for another trade. And trade is open now. Do want to get the data here for the delta and the delta, theta, and vega. So 264.27. So 264 and 27. Sorry, 27 is the theta. And then Vega 102. Right? So this is one where if the implied volatility falls, it'll hurt. It'll hurt, but the implied volatility is really low. So the chances of seeing the implied volatility drop a whole lot are very slim. So it's yes, the Vega is pretty high, but it's not. It's one that's actually gonna would help us more if the stock were to fall than it will hurt us on the rise. All right, so into Visa and rolling. Okay, just waiting for the thumbs up that the alert went out here. And Jason, anything? Good? Okay. All right. So good to go. So in Visa and rolling there, that's the only signal on the board. As far as crossovers go, we have Visa and Verizon on the bullish side here today. And Verizon, consolidation risk on it's very high. And on the bearish side, I'll show you that it's 0. So nothing in that. Okay. All right, market vibe sitting at 7, still in a bullish position. We haven't seen the market internals, change very much here today. It's just kind of been the same, same thing here with them, and we have not seen the bears really grab anything on, kind of the, semi-positive news here for stocks here overnight. Now, want to go take a look at Halliburton. Was asked about Halliburton and thoughts on it, and this is a stock I've talked about a few times, and I talked about the comparables for it going forward into 2020 are pretty easy for Halliburton. And that's I think that's one of the most bullish arguments you can make for Halliburton, which has just absolutely been slaughtered over a good time here. I mean, this is a $50 stock at the beginning of 2018. It's now a $20 stock. And, that's after a 10% bounce here. So it's been in some bad sorts. It broke 2016's bear market lows or oil bear market lows, like a lot of these other energy names. And it's done so without oil prices sinking, to the same level. So been an ugly move here, for sure on it. But as we look into 2020, I do look at these energy names and I think, okay, there's some pretty good upside potential here in them. Now, I'm not heavily involved in the energy space right now, and I'm not looking to be. One of my favorites to trade is Halliburton, and I'm willing to trade it on, trades, here and there. I made a small trade on it in October. We talked about it at that time. But, it's one where I'm not putting a trade on it right now. And if I were, I'd be looking at the downside. And let me show you. We don't see this all that often, right? And, I always hesitate to talk about option pinning. Because when you start talking about pinning, people go out, they start looking and going, okay, what strike prices are going to be pinned? Okay, the stock has to go to that strike price, and it doesn't work that way. When it comes to option pinning, you're talking about which way the market makers have incentive, or in some cases, investors have incentive to push a stock by the close, right, or by the option expiration. And you can see pin risk is high, right? The risk of pinning happening is relatively high when the open interest at a certain strike is kind of off the charts large, where it's just like, whoa, okay, that's pretty dramatic, right? And we don't often see that. In fact, with Halliburton, if we look at the December options, we have 4,000 on 21. We have 7,000 on the 20 puts. But, you look at the strikes here on the 19 puts, they're 58, 5,800. We're not seeing this huge disparity, right? And so just not something I'd look at. I want to see a 2 to 3, even 4-time disparity at one strike over another, right? And we come out into January, you can look, the 22.5 puts are 21,000, the 20 puts are 15,000. I mean, that's not a big difference there, between them. And so to make an argument of option pinning and all that, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? But if we take a look a little shorter term at Halliburton and we come into the November options, check these babies out. On the call side, the open interest on the 20 calls is 30,000. Is there anything close? I mean, is there anything even close? Yeah, 32.5, 15. We're not going to 32.5. But the 20s have 30,000. The 22.5s have 8,000. Right? We're talking about 3 times more on the 20s. You take a look at the put side, there's 14,000. There's nothing even close to that at any other strike on the put side or on the call side. The open interest on these 20 calls, or on these 20 options, is huge, without anything around it to be very, balancing. So going into option expiration next Friday, where do market makers have incentive to push this, right? They have incentive to push this at 20, to have all these options simply expire, worthless. Now, that's assuming that most of the options are on the long side, which you can't always assume. In fact, a lot of these could be on the short side, which then, market makers are a little more, hey, let's push the stock up, depending on, how they're positioned, right? But when I see an open interest that's this different, that's this dynamic, it tells me, okay, the odds are pretty good. The odds are pretty good that this stock is going to have trouble getting away from 20 by expiration. And so, okay, can I short it down to that? Yeah, I can. Am I going to make a ton? No, I'm not. It's just not going to, make a heck of a whole lot. These 13, these 20 puts right here that are going for 13 cents, they sell it off down to 20 by Friday. Those options are 0. So I'm buying some for 13 cents. The stock goes down 5%. And it's now worth 0. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? So, you could get a stock trade or you can do a, different type of option there. But the real short-term weeklies, to play it, don't make a lot of sense normally. And it's something where if it overshoots, to the downside, yeah, you can play it back up to 20. But until we get this November expiration out of the way for Halliburton, it's hard to expect that Halliburton's going to run away from the 20 mark. Now, it could, right? It certainly could, because pinning action is not the biggest thing when it comes to determining pricing of stocks, right? If oil prices surge, make another jump up, if we get some analyst upgrades, if Halliburton makes a couple announcements, those will all trump the pinning aspect here for the options on Halliburton. But if things just kind of normal course, it's going to be very difficult for this stock to get away from 20. Now, sometimes when you see something, this dynamic, when it comes to a certain stock like a Halliburton, you can take a look at something else in its sector and say, well, do we see the same thing? But right now, with a Schlumberger, we don't see the same thing here. There's nothing too similar there. If you take a look at an EOG, we don't really see something similar there. So it's very much a Halliburton specific element here, and so something to keep an eye on here with that. Now, out of the corner of my eye, I'm noticing the market ticking a little bit here. Looks like we've had a little bit of news. Let me check here, see what's going on. There's a little bit of volume happening here, so bear with me. I don't have my news list up here. We had one of these kind of bumps here earlier today. And this is, I think we're going to have more of these as the market becomes more focused on the trade war stuff and what ultimately happens with things getting signed. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything initially on my news feed here, so I'm sure it'll come out. I'm sure it'll show up on the basic news feeds very shortly here. But even then, we're talking about a 6 point, 6 point move there. So nothing, too earth shattering there with it right now. I'm just kind of looking down the board to see if we see any stocks that are moving, abnormally. That you go, wow, this thing just moved really big, and now we don't see a whole lot of that, at least on the list that I have right here. Okay, so yeah, if you keep your eyes on the front pages of Market Watch or CNBC, I'm sure the news will be there very soon, but I'm not seeing it on my news feed right here. I do see a report on gun control, but I'm very suspicious that is creating this move. But ultimately it could. Okay, but I do suspect we have a lot more of these moves coming. We're just little pop, little drop type action. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a fantastic evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.